Chapter 1. For millennia, humanity has sought the original source of wisdom through language. We have deciphered hieroglyphs, meditated on Sanskrit mantras, and searched for the lost word in esoteric texts. However, the deepest truth does not reside in the phonemes uttered by the throat, nor in the characters inscribed on clay or parchment. The language that truly structures reality and the highest potential of the human being operates on a plane that our three-dimensional consciousness is only beginning to remember, the plane of pure vibration, immaculate form, and frequency. This is the threshold to understanding the script of light, a communication system that transcends the intellect and speaks directly to the spirit. The human mind, conditioned by the linearity of time and binary logic, conceives of language as a sequence of words with agreed-upon meanings. But in the higher realms, where the soul resides before its incarnation, language is a living matrix. What is the script of light? Symbols that exist on high-frequency planes. The script of light is not a human-created alphabet. It is a direct manifestation of the source. It consists of symbols, codes, and geometric patterns that exist on high-frequency planes of consciousness beyond time and space. These are not letters with an arbitrary meaning, but concentrations of energy, packets of vibrational information that, when contemplated or internally chanted, release their content directly into the observer's energetic field. Think of it as the energetic signature of the universe. If the universe were a vast computer program, the script of light would be the lines of source code, the primary commands that shape reality. These symbols are, by nature, perfectly harmonic, as they can only exist where the duality and distortion of fear have no place. For this reason, the script of light cannot be grasped by the physical ear, nor understood by the intellect. It is the language beyond voice and mind, a vibrational, non-phonetic matrix. Its communication does not occur through interpretation or translation, but through resonance. When the human being comes into contact with a light code, the code is not translated into a known language. Instead, the individual's light body, our auric field and higher chakras, resonates with that frequency, instantly adjusting its own vibration to enter into coherence with the perfection of the code. It is a transfer of information via spiritual electromagnetic induction. This language does not need words to express totality. A single symbol can contain the equivalent of a complete book of philosophy, not in concepts, but in direct experience. By contemplating a light code that represents, for example, unconditional love, the individual does not think about love. Their being becomes the frequency of unconditional love during the time of resonance. The legend of origin, the language spoken by the creators before the division of Babel. Humanity's ancestral, memory guarded in esoteric texts and primeval myths, points to a golden age, a time when consciousness was one and language was pure. This is the time of the Christed language, the voice of unity, which corresponds directly to the script of light. The legend does not refer only to the biblical account of the Tower of Babel, but to an earlier cosmic event, the fracturing of consciousness that gave rise to duality, and with it, the need for imperfect languages. Before this fracture, it is said that humanity communicated not with words, but with light and geometric telepathy. Intentions instantly manifested as crystalline light forms that were understood by everyone without the possibility of misunderstanding or deception. It was the language of the creators, an art form that built reality through shared vibration. When fear and the illusion of separation infiltrated the collective consciousness, the planetary vibration densified. The crystalline forms of the language of light collapsed into imperfect phonemes subject to interpretation. Language became a barrier instead of a bridge. The voice was limited to the throat, and the truth fragmented into dialects. However, the guardians of the light, those souls who maintained their coherence, made a crucial decision. Why the language has been coded, Preservation of vibrational purity. The language of light was withdrawn from the public sphere and coded. The symbols were not destroyed. They were packaged in the subtle planes and concealed within energetic structures that could only be accessed by an individual who reached a specific vibrational threshold. This coding was carried out with the supreme purpose of preserving vibrational purity. Had these creation codes remained accessible on a plane dominated by fear, anger, and selfish intent, they would have been distorted and used for manipulation. By being inaccessible to the unpurified ego, the codes maintained their integrity as perfect templates. The codes were hidden in plain sight, embedded in the earth's ley lines, in the architecture of sacred geometry, in mandalas and yantras, and even, as we shall see, in the subtle DNA of every human being. The ego, being a construction based on separation, does not hold the key to deciphering unity. The language of light is only revealed when the practitioner transcends the ego and anchors in the heart, the only center of consciousness that operates on the frequency of unity, the Christed frequency, the planetary awakening, the liberation of the light codes for humanity. Today, planet Earth and its humanity are experiencing an unprecedented planetary awakening. The Earth's Schumann frequency is rising. The veiled structures of linear consciousness are collapsing. Phase 3, the initiatory death, in the context of the Ouroboros. We are returning to the vibration that existed before the fracture. Due to this elevation, the Guardians have activated the process of liberating the light codes for humanity. Knowledge is no longer restricted to hermetic temples. The symbols are appearing in the consciousness of channelers, artists, healers, and meditators all over the world. This liberation is not accidental. It is a direct response to the collective need for recoding. Humanity cannot make the evolutionary leap to the next density of consciousness with atrophied spiritual DNA and a language based on judgment and fear. We need the language of coherence to restore our original blueprint. The purpose of this revelation is twofold: individual activation, providing the individual with the tools to reprogram their own spiritual DNA, releasing the latent strands of potential, talent, and soul memory. Collective integration. By raising the individual frequency through the coherence of the language of light, we contribute to the collective ascension matrix. Every person who anchors a light code acts as a beacon that facilitates the code's activation in the DNA of others. The script of light is, therefore, the tool for the next evolution. It is the coded message the Source sends us to remind us who we are and what our destiny is, to become the conscious creators we were in the beginning again. Chapter 2. To understand how these high-frequency codes interact with physical reality, we must comprehend that vibration and form are two sides of the same coin. The bridge between the immaterial plane of consciousness and the material plane of biology is sacred geometry. Connection with sacred geometry. The word is form, the form is vibration. Sacred geometry is the mathematical and visual language of creation. It is the template from which all matter arises. From the structure of a snowflake to the spiral of a galaxy, all forms in the universe are built upon a few fundamental geometric patterns. These patterns are not static. They are vibrations frozen in space. The script of light is essentially dynamic sacred geometry. If sacred geometry is the universal grammar, the rules of form, the script of light consists of the sentences this grammar allows to be built. Every light symbol, although it may appear to be a complex or abstract form, is the graphical expression of a precise vibrational formula. The implication is profound. The word is form. The form is vibration. When we contemplate a perfect geometric form, we are resonating with the vibration that gave rise to it. And when we chant a word of light internally, we are creating that geometric form within our own field. The symbol is the architectural blueprint that allows an abstract intention to manifest as a coherent structure in the practitioner's DNA or life. The Merkaba and the flower of life as universal templates of the script. Two geometric patterns act as the foundational alphabets of the script of light, the templates from which all individual codes derive their structure, the flower of life. This pattern of interconnected circles, found in ancient civilizations from Egypt to China, is the Yi template of coherent creation. It symbolizes the moment the source expands from the void, creating the totality of reality from a single seed. Light codes derived from the flower of life often focus on manifestation, interdimensional connection, and collective harmony. The Merkaba, this spinning double tetrahedron energy field, represents the individual's light body. It is the vehicle that allows consciousness to move between dimensions. Light codes based on the Merkaba are intrinsically linked to personal activation, field protection, and the unification of opposites, masculine and feminine, spirit and matter, within the being. These patterns are not mere drawings. They are energetic engines. The script of light uses these patterns as a base grid to superimpose the specific recoding information, the synergy between word and form, the intention behind the symbol. The true power of the language of light resides not only in its geometry, but in the pure intention that animates it. A light symbol is the conjunction of the divine mind and mathematical form. This is the synergy between word and form. The form, geometry, is the container. It provides the perfect structure, the vibrational coherence that prevents distortion. The form channels the energy. The word, vibration, intention, is the content. It is the specific intention of the source, be it healing, activation, memory, or peace, that is injected into the geometric container. Without pure intention, the form is only a static image. Without coherent form, the intention can scatter and be distorted by the mental noise of the ego. Together, they create an impeccable vibrational seal. The practitioner of the script of light learns to perceive not only the geometry, but the living force and meaning that pulsates at the center of the symbol. This demands the use of intuitive vision, or the third eye, as it is the only organ of perception that can read the combined frequency of form and intention. The symbol as a portal. How the geometric form acts as a frequency key. The light symbol functions as a portal or a frequency key. Imagine that your spiritual DNA is a high-tech safe that requires a specific vibrational key to unlock its potential. The geometric form of the light code is that key. When you focus your consciousness on a symbol, your energy field is emitting the frequency of that form. By resonating with the code, the symbol allows you to access. It opens a direct channel to the planes of consciousness, where the source's coded information resides. Stabilization. It acts as a magnet of coherence, attracting only the harmonic frequencies necessary for healing or recoding. Transmission. It ensures that the information is delivered to the DNA without being filtered or distorted by the ego's limiting beliefs. The act of meditating with these symbols is not an intellectual exercise. It is an energetic engineering work that uses geometry to open specific vibrational doors. The symbol is the entry point to a library of knowledge that resides outside of time. The letters of light. They are not letters, but modulations of energy. Finally, we must abandon the linear idea of a light alphabet. The basic units of the script of light are not letters like A, B, or C, but modulations of energy. These modulations manifest as focal points, concentrations of pure energy, anchoring and intention, flow lines, vectors of movement and energetic direction, harmonic curves, expressions of interconnection, smoothing and unifying the field, spirals, patterns of expansion and evolution, the force of life. A complete light code is a constellation of these modulations, geometrically arranged to achieve a specific vibrational effect. For instance, a code for lineage healing has no words, but is a series of intertwined spirals with strategic focal points. The spirals represent the flow of time and inheritance, and the points, the places where the energy must be sealed and purified. The initiate does not learn to read these modulations in the traditional sense, but to feel and resonate with them. The goal is not mental interpretation, but vibrational fusion. By merging with the code, the energy modulation is inscribed directly onto the light body, initiating the DNA recoding process. This is the foundation of the script of light. In the following sections, we will explore how this matrix of form and vibration becomes the supreme tool for awakening the latent strands of our spiritual DNA. We continue with the profound revelation of the manuscript of the script of light, descending from the geometric and vibrational plane to the plane of the subtle biology of the human being. We now approach the core of our capacity for transformation, spiritual DNA, the sacred archive of our soul. Chapter 3. Modern science has mapped the human genome, revealing the double helix structure and the 23 pairs of chromosomes that define the biological form. However, this view is only the tip of a three-dimensional iceberg. Esoteric tradition, alchemical texts, and advanced consciousness revelations agree on one fundamental fact. The human being is endowed with a multidimensional genetic code, an energetic structure that far exceeds the two known physical strands. This structure is the spiritual DNA, and it is the antenna that connects our individual consciousness with the source. Definition of spiritual DNA versus biological DNA, the 10 subtle and unmanifested strands. Biological DNA is the material blueprint that governs physical characteristics, eye color, height, predisposition to certain diseases, and body chemistry. It operates within the confines of the third and, partially, the fourth dimension, time and space. Spiritual DNA is the energetic or etheric blueprint of the genetic code. This is the master blueprint that, in its original and activated state, is composed of 12 strands of geometric and luminous information. Of these 12 strands, 2 strands are physical, those known to science, which anchor consciousness in the body. 10 strands are subtle, latent. These strands exist in higher dimensions, from the 5th to the 12th. They are made of light, sound, and crystalline patterns, and are neither visible nor measurable with current material science instruments. These 10 subtle strands are the engine of our potential. They contain the information for telepathy, spontaneous healing, bilocation, direct connection with guides, and the capacity for conscious manifestation. In essence, spiritual DNA is the record of our latent divinity. How spiritual DNA stores the soul's history and highest potential. Spiritual DNA is not simply a mechanism for transmitting traits. It is the soul's holographic archive. Stored in its subtle strands is the individual Akashic record. Complete records of every past life, including the lessons learned and wisdom acquired in each incarnation. The soul contract, divine plan. The original purpose and missions the soul set out to manifest in this life. The higher self frequency code. The template of perfect health and energetic coherence that existed before any karmic or traumatic distortion. Unactivated talents and abilities. The multidimensional gifts the soul masters, but which the three-dimensional ego has not yet manifested, such as clairvoyance, clairaudience, or mastery over energy. This code is the soul's antenna. Through its subtle strands, the human being receives and transmits information from higher planes, from stellar civilizations, and, fundamentally, from the source itself. It is the link that ensures that, no matter how dense the incarnated experience, the human being is never truly disconnected from their divine origin. Spiritual awakening is, in essence, the process of reconnecting and activating these 10 latent strands. The concept of junk DNA, according to modern science and its esoteric reinterpretation, for decades, a large part of biological DNA, approximately 97%, was labeled by material science as junk DNA or non-coding DNA. This label was imposed simply because its direct protein function or its role in physical inheritance could not be identified. The esoteric reinterpretation of the manuscript of light offers a radically different perspective. It is not junk, it is storage. This non-coding portion is, in fact, the physical archive of the spiritual DNA. It functions as a kind of etheric USB memory stick where the light codes of the 10 higher strands are stored in a latent form, awaiting the correct vibrational signal to activate. Quantum bridge. This junk DNA is the quantum bridge that connects the physical strands with the subtle strands. It is the place where the language of light, vibration, interacts with matter. The library of creation. It is the library of instructions for ascension. Science's inability to read this portion is because its reading is not done with chemical enzymes, but with frequencies of light and consciousness. The so-called junk DNA is, in fact, the dormant potential of humanity. It is the security system that kept our original divine blueprint intact during the long period of duality. The atrophy of the DNA strands, consequence of fear and low frequency. If our potential is so vast, why are only 2 strands active for most of humanity? The answer lies in the low frequency sustained by the collective consciousness. The atrophy or latency of the subtle strands is a direct consequence of fear, trauma, judgment, and the belief in separation. Incompatible frequency. The light strands are crystalline structures of high vibration. Low frequency emotions, anger, guilt, shame, victimization, emit a dense and chaotic vibration that is incompatible with the perfect crystalline structure of the subtle DNA. Energetic blockage. These dense emotions create energetic blockages in the chakras, especially in the higher centers, throat, third eye, and crown, which are the entry ports for the subtle strands. The self-protection system. The light body instinctively shuts down or puts the subtle strands to sleep when the consciousness frequency is too low. This is a self-protection mechanism. If the manifestation strands, e.g., the strand of creative power, were fully active in a person dominated by anger, the result would be an immediate catastrophe. The atrophy, therefore, is not a flaw but a safety mechanism that has protected humanity from self-annihilation during the age of duality. The awakening of the strands must be a gradual process of vibrational elevation, where fear is released so that the light code can be anchored safely and benevolently. The call to recoding. Awakening the latent strands through pure vibration. The manuscript of the Ouroboros and the script of light give us the call to recoding. This is the deliberate act of reversing atrophy, of awakening the latent strands through pure vibration. Recoding is the path back to sovereignty. It involves taking responsibility for our own frequency and using high vibration tools, such as the script of light, to purify the field and tune the body to the original matrix of health and potential. The process does not require surgery or external manipulation. It requires the conscious use of intention, light, and sound, which are the primary forces of creation. By exposing ourselves to the coherence of the script of light, we are giving our DNA the precise signal it needs to awaken its subtle functions. It is like flipping the switch on an entire library that has been in the dark. Chapter 4. Having understood the nature of our subtle DNA, we will now focus on the quantum mechanism by which the language of light achieves recoding, the principle of resonance. The script of light holds the frequency of original health and coherence. The key to the action of the script of light is the principle of resonance. In physics, resonance occurs when a vibrating object transfers its energy to another object that has the same natural frequency. Imagine that your light body is vibrating at a chaotic frequency, that of your trauma or fear, represented by an irregular and distorted wave. The script of light is a perfectly coherent and stable wave with the exact frequency of health, peace, and totality. When you focus your consciousness on a light symbol, your energy field comes into contact with this perfect wave. The principle of resonance springs into action. Attraction. The coherent wave of light is attracted to your vibratory field. Synchronization. The body, always seeking balance, begins to synchronize its chaotic frequencies with the perfect wave of the light code. Coherence. The chaotic vibration is replaced by coherent vibration. This change in frequency is transmitted at the cellular and molecular level, affecting the electromagnetic structure of the DNA. The script of light does not directly heal illness or trauma. It simply restores original coherence. By resonating with perfection, distortion dissolves. The word is a code that reprograms DNA, the activation of the original blueprint. The script of light is an activation code. Each symbol is designed to interact with a specific segment of your subtle DNA, like a software key that unlocks a function. The DNA, in its etheric aspect, is not a simple chain. It is a crystalline structure capable of receiving, storing, and transmitting light and information. The script of light, being a vibrational geometric matrix, is the only key that fits perfectly into this crystalline lock. When a light code is introduced, a reprogramming occurs. Access to the original blueprint. The code targets junk DNA, the archive, bypassing the filters of the ego and traumas. Injection of instructions. The vibration of the code injects the instruction of the soul's original blueprint, restoring the memory of perfect health or the highest purpose. Functional activation. The latent strand that corresponds to that information turns on or is functionally activated for the first time since the fall of consciousness. This is the true meaning of the word as a creative force. The word of light is the command from the source that overrides the limiting programming of fear and reestablishes the programming of totality. The three frequencies of coding: intention, intonation, and visualization. Successful DNA recoding is not passive. It requires active participation from the initiate, who must become the generator of the three frequencies of coding to amplify the power of the symbol. Intention, mental frequency. It is the conscious purpose, the mental clarity of why the code is being used, e.g., I activate the emotional healing strand. This is the highest frequency, the one that directs the energy. Intonation, auditory, vocal frequency, refers to the vibration of sound. Although the script of light is non-phonetic, a pure sound, an AUM, an I, or an intuitive sound, can be intoned while contemplating the code. This physical or mental sound creates an internal resonator that anchors the light vibration in the physical body. Visualization, luminous frequency. It is the imaginative force. It consists of seeing the light code not as a drawing, but as a three-dimensional, rotating, and brilliant light that radiates and is injected directly into the center of the body, the heart, the thymus, or the DNA. This is the frequency that transforms information into radiation. When these three frequencies operate in coherence, clear intention, anchored intonation, and vivid visualization, a personal recoding portal is created that maximizes the transfer of information from the script of light to the DNA. The effect of light on matter. DNA as a crystal that reacts to pure radiation. Quantum physics and esotericism converge in the understanding that DNA acts as a liquid crystal. Crystals are structures that react to light and pressure, vibration, in a highly organized manner. DNA, in its crystalline function, has the capacity to store information, the light patterns, act as a transmitter and receiver of electromagnetic energy. The effect of light on this crystal is immediate. The script of light is pure radiation. When this radiation, imbued with coherent intention, touches the junk DNA, it initiates a process of restructuring and alignment. It is like a divine laser that eliminates distortions. the blockages caused by trauma and fear, and restores the original symmetry of the creation template. The light code is the signal that tells the DNA crystal, return to the perfect form. The difference between the language of light and the traditional mantra: depth and scope. Finally, it is crucial to distinguish between the power of the script of light and the power of the traditional mantra. Both use vibration, but they differ in their depth and scope. Traditional mantra operates primarily on the mental-emotional plane, the fourth dimension. It uses phonetic words, A.G., Om Mani Padme Hum, to calm the mind and elevate the spirit. It is highly effective for meditation and internal peace. Its scope is mainly the purification of the nearby auric field. Language of light, Chi, script of light, operates on the spiritual geometric plane. From the fifth dimension onwards, it uses geometric patterns and non-phonetic vibrations. Its purpose is not to calm the mind, but to reprogram the subtle biological matrix of the DNA. Its scope is structural and has direct effects on the latent strands and the memory of the soul. Both are valuable, but the script of light is the tool of choice for deep DNA recoding work, as its frequency is pure, without the distortion that often adheres to human languages due to their long history of use in duality. The language of light is the language of the soul before the fall. The mantra is the language of the soul on its way back. With these foundations firmly established, we are ready to advance to the practical phase of mastery, where we will learn how to prepare consciousness to receive and anchor these sacred codes. Having contemplated the geometric nature of the language of light and its function as a reprogrammer of spiritual DNA, the initiate must now approach the path with discipline and reverence. The script of light is a technology of consciousness that demands a highly calibrated operator. It is not a trick, but a sacred art. This chapter details how to prepare the inner temple and how to employ the three fundamental practices to achieve the rebirth of the soul. Chapter 5. The act of coding the DNA with light is analogous to connecting a delicate circuit to a source of pure energy. If the circuit is full of noise, dirt, or short circuits, i.e., low frequency or unreleased trauma, the energy will be distorted or the system will overload. Therefore, the preparation of consciousness is 50% of the recoding work. The required mental state, theta stillness, and the coherent heart. The access portal to the language of light is not the beta alert state, the waking mind, but the theta state, theta stillness. The theta state is a state of slow brain waves, reached just before falling asleep or during deep meditation. It is the active subconscious mind. In theta, the critical logical mind, the ego, shuts off, and the subconscious becomes malleable and receptive to new instructions. The script of light, being an instruction for the subconscious DNA, can only be effectively injected in this state. The coherent heart. The heart, not the brain, is the main organ of soul perception. Heart coherence. A stable and harmonic heart rhythm, generated by elevated emotions such as gratitude and peace, creates the body's most powerful electromagnetic field. This field acts as a shield of purity and as an amplifier. By bringing the heart into coherence, phase 1 of the Ouroboros cycle, fullness, the practitioner's vibration rises enough to match that of the script of light, facilitating resonance. The initiate must practice heart measurement before the practice. Intentionally generate the feeling of gratitude or love for 5 minutes to open the portal of coherence. Energetic field cleansing rituals, purification before receiving the code. Before invoking the high-frequency codes, it is imperative to perform cleansing rituals that release the density and low vibration accumulated in the auric field. These rituals prepare the vessel to receive the elixir of light. Cleansing with sound, using crystal bowls, tuning forks, or one's own voice to generate pure tones around the body. Sound, being a physical vibration, breaks up concentrations of stagnant energy that the ego cannot release cleansing with elements. The use of water, conscious shower with the intention of purification, or sacred smoke, copal incense, sage, or palo santo, to clear the field. The smoke acts as a vehicle to carry the dissolved density away from the aura. The invocation of the violet fire. Mentally invoke the violet flame of transmutation and visually wrap the body in this fire, which consumes the cause, effect, and record of low vibration, leaving the field ready to receive the pure radiation of the script of light. The importance of silence for hearing the language of light, the subtle voice. If the script of light is the voice of the source, it can only be received in absolute silence. The ego's chattering mind is constant noise that deafens the spirit. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the absence of judgment and reaction. It is phase 3 of the Ouroboros cycle, the initiatory death, applied to the moment. The initiate must practice mental withdrawal before coding, seeking external silence, isolation from noise, screens, and distractions, emotional silence, release of anxieties, to-do lists, and expectations, inner silence, observing thoughts without following or judging them, letting them dissolve. Only in this fertile void can the subtle voice, clairaudience, of the language of light be heard. The light code first communicates as a telepathic impression or as a geometric image that appears in the mind. Silence ensures that this impression is not confused with fantasy. How to establish the recoding intention, the first practical step. Intention is the access code to the language of light. Without a clear and pure intention, energy scatters. The language of light responds to the sovereignty of the being, not to caprice. The first practical step is to establish the recoding intention clearly and concisely. This must be done in a short, powerful sentence, always formulated in the present tense and in the positive. Example of weak intention. I want to stop being afraid of scarcity. Focused on what is not wanted and on the future. Example of strong, Audiobook intention. I am the manifestation of impeccable abundance in all my forms, and I activate the light code of divine provision in my DNA now. Affirms the desired state in the present and names the act of coding. This intention must be spoken aloud 3 times, anchoring the purpose in the physical field. It is the clear command that the DNA receives to align with the script of light, the seal of protection, creation of a safe harmonic field for the practice. Given that the coding practice opens dimensional portals and elevates the frequency of the field, it is essential to create a seal of protection. This protection is not a shield against attack, but a declaration of coherence that prevents low vibration energies, which are incompatible with light, from resonating or interfering. Visualization of the light vortex. Visualize a vortex of golden or platinum light spinning around the body, sealing the aura. This vortex extends upward, connecting with the source, and downward, anchoring the energy in the heart of the earth. The declaration of sovereignty. Proclaim, I am the center of my universe. Only the frequencies of light, love, and coherence have permission to operate in my field. All that is not of the source is dissolved and transmuted into love. This seal transforms the practice space into a safe, harmonic field, a sealed temple where recoding can occur without environmental interference. Chapter 6. Once the field is clean and the intention is established, the initiate proceeds to action. These 3 fundamental practices work in synergy to inject the vibration of the light code directly into the subtle DNA through the channels of vision, sound, and touch. Practice 1. Visualization and deep contemplation. This is the practice of the eye of light, which uses the visual channel to transfer the vibrational geometry into the inner field. Ocular activation. Contemplate the symbol until it comes alive. The light symbol should not be looked at with the physical eyes, but contemplated with the unified vision of the third eye. Soft focus. place the image of the light code in front of you. Look at it with a soft focus, relaxing the eyes and the mind. Do not attempt to analyze the form, just allow the form to enter you. Immersion point. Maintain the gaze until the symbol appears to come alive. The geometry may begin to spin, pulsate, change color, or emit a glow. This indicates that you have reached the theta frequency and that your consciousness has merged with the code's vibration. In that instant, the physical image has been replaced by the vibrational impression in the third eye. Seeing the geometry as an energy circuit, it is not an image, it is an engine. The mind must be retrained to see the symbol not as a flat representation, but as a three-dimensional, rotating, and pulsating energy circuit. The symbol is an engine that is transferring its information to your field. Visualize the lines of the code as high-intensity plasma filaments. See the focal points as crystalline energy generators. Feel the movement, the rotation, the spiral, as the force that spins your own latent DNA strands, aligning them with the code's pattern. This is the difference between looking at a drawing and being in the presence of a frequency generator. Geometry is the vehicle of power, technique for breathing the light of the symbol toward the heart center. Once the symbol is alive, use the breath to anchor it. Inhalation of light. As you inhale, visualize the light code entering through the third eye and descending through the central channel, the sushumna, collecting cosmic energy as it passes. Anchoring in the heart. Briefly hold the breath in the heart center, the Christic portal. Visualizing the symbol lighting up like a sun within the thymus. Exhalation of coherence. As you exhale, feel the light of the symbol expand from the heart, cleansing the physical body and the auric field, replacing darkness or density with the perfect light of the code. This auroboric breathing process ensures that the recoding is anchored in the center of unity, the heart, preventing the energy from being misused by the egoic mind. Practice 2. Practice. Mental intonation and subtle hearing. This practice uses the sound channel to create an internal resonance, activating the light body. Intoning the words of light in inner silence, not with the physical voice. Mental intonation is the key. The language of light does not have human phonemes, but it has pure sonic vibration, frequency. While contemplating the symbol, the initiate must listen to the sound that the light code emits in the silence of the mind. Do not force a sound, just listen. Once the intuitive sound, often a high tone, a hum, or an inner chant, is perceived, it must be intoned mentally in a continuous manner. This is a sound that resonates in the vault of the skull and in the heart. This mental intonation maintains the vibrational coherence during coding, like a tuning fork sustaining the tone. The light body as a resonator, feeling the vibration in the upper chakras. The goal of intonation is to activate the light body as a resonator. Direct the sonic vibration to the throat chakra, purity of communication, the third eye, clairvoyance, and the crown chakra, connection with the source. Feel how the vibration, amplified by mental intonation, dissolves blockages in these centers, cleansing the subtle channels that receive information from the spiritual DNA. The spine should feel like a pulsating tube of light, aligning the chakras like a musical scale preparing to play the melody of the source. The tongue of light as conscious glossolalia and its liberating effect. In advanced states of meditation and trust, the initiate may experience conscious glossolalia or the spoken tongue of light. Allow the sound to express itself not as a language of your tongue, but as a stream of melodic, rapid, and strange phonemes. This is not a language to be understood by the mind. It is a release of subconscious energy. Glossolalia uses vibration to unlock emotional tension and limiting programming anchored in the physical body. The effect is deeply liberating. By speaking the tongue of light, the body sheds old programming that no longer serves, clearing the ground so that the codes of the script of light can be anchored without resistance. Practice 3. intuitive writing, and physical anchoring. This final practice uses the physical vehicle of the hand and paper to anchor the high frequency of light into matter, allowing the symbol to manifest through the hand, the anchoring. The initiate must sit with paper and pencil. After a period of meditation and contemplation, practices 1 and 2, and without looking, they must allow the symbol to manifest through the hand. The hand is not the artist, it is the anchoring instrument. Let the hand move without mental control. The symbol that emerges will be the personal energetic translation of the light code being received. This act of intuitive writing creates a direct bridge between the light body, where the code was received, and three-dimensional reality, the paper. The drawn symbol is a map of the recoding in process. The role of the drawn symbol as a 3D manifestation tool. The hand-drawn symbol becomes a powerful 3D manifestation tool because it contains the intention, the coherence of the light, and the physical anchoring. The drawing is charged with the vibration of the light, of the intention, and of the harmonic field created by the initiate. It can be placed under the pillow in the workspace or on an altar so that it continues to radiate the light code's frequency, sustaining cellular coherence. By touching the symbol, the memory of the coding is instantly reactivated, reinforcing the new DNA programming. Creation of personal light seals for specific work: health, abundance, peace. Mastery culminates in the ability to create personal light seals. These are codes that the initiate channels directly with a very specific intention beyond the universal codes. Health seal. A symbol designed to restore coherence in a specific organ. Abundance seal. A geometric pattern designed to realign the financial field with divine provision. Peace seal. A code to seal the emotional field in unmoving stillness. By drawing the seal with pure intention, the initiate uses their sovereignty to design their own recoding, fully assuming the role of the human Ouroboros, the eternal self-creator. With these practices, the initiate moves from being a receiver to a conscious generator of the script of light, preparing the way for the integration of the new DNA strands. Chapter 7. The process of recoding with the script of light is not merely theoretical. It is a profound bio-spiritual event with tangible consequences. Once the light code is anchored through the practices of visualization, intonation, and physical anchoring, the spiritual DNA begins to awaken, releasing information and energy that have been contained for eons. Symptoms of DNA awakening: energy waves, vivid dreams, emotional release. The light body and the physical body must recalibrate to sustain the code's new and higher frequency. This produces a series of symptoms that the initiate must recognize as positive signs of internal restructuring, not as illnesses. Waves of energy and heat, feeling currents of energy or heat rising and descending through the spinal column, sushumna. This is the activation of the central channel as the subtle strands realign and Kundalini energy ascends to meet the light codes in the higher chakras. Tingling or pressure may be experienced in the center of the head, third eye, and crown. Vivid and clear dreams. The subconscious, freed from low-frequency programming, accesses the soul's memory. Dreams become vivid, often with complex narratives about past lives, contact with guides, or geometric instructions. The initiate must honor these dreams, as they are the nightly reading of the newly activated DNA. Emotional release, the purge. As the light's coherence expels density, the body may release ancient traumas that were coded in the DNA. This can manifest as brief periods of intense sadness, irrational anger, or crying. This is the growing pain of recoding. The initiate must allow themselves to feel and release these emotions without judgment, using the seal of protection to immediately transmute them. It is phase 2 of the Ouroboros, manifesting at the cellular level, the dissolution of the old. manifestation of new talents and abilities, soul memory, and inner knowing. The most glorious effect of the subtle DNA awakening is the access to soul memory, which translates into the manifestation of talents and abilities that the initiate did not previously possess or that were deeply dormant. Inner knowing, gnosis. The individual begins to know things without having studied them. The need to seek external knowledge diminishes as the internal archive of truth has been unlocked. Answers to great philosophical or existential questions simply present themselves with unquestionable clarity. Multidimensional abilities, recoding, activates the functions of the subtle strands. Clairvoyance, seeing energy fields and auras. Clairaudience, hearing the voice of guides or the language of light, and energetic healing through the hands. These are not magical abilities, but natural functions of the activated DNA. Pure creativity. The light code breaks blocks of self-criticism and judgment, releasing a torrent of pure creativity. The individual may begin to channel art, music, or even new light codes of their own as they have become a transmitter as well as a receiver. Cellular healing by coherence. The physical body aligning with the perfect pattern. All illness or imbalance in the physical body begins as a vibrational distortion in the etheric field. When the spiritual DNA is recoded with the perfect frequency of the script of light, this coherence radiates downward to the biological DNA and the cellular structure. The perfect pattern. The script of light reminds every cell of its original pattern of immaculate health. The body, which is inherently intelligent, attempts to align with this new and higher instruction. Spontaneous, or accelerated, healing. Chronic conditions that were coded in the junk DNA, the memory of family or ancestral trauma, may begin to dissolve as the new programming overrides the old. Healing accelerates and often occurs in ways that three-dimensional logic cannot explain. Increased vitality. Energy that was previously stagnant in the subtle strands is channeled into the physical body. This results in greater vitality, a sense of youthfulness, and a decrease in the need for sleep and dense food as the body begins to nourish itself more from light, prana, or cosmic energy. Chapter 8. The Rebirth of Purpose. The elimination of the fog and the clarity of the path. DNA recoding is, above all, the rebirth of purpose. During the atrophy of the strands, the soul operates in a dense fog of confusion, doubt, and endless searching. Decisions are made from the ego, or conditioning, not from the higher self. By activating the light code, the soul contract strand lights up. The fog dissipates. Unquestionable clarity. The individual no longer asks, "What is my purpose?" They simply know their next step and their role in the collective matrix. Actions become coherent with the divine plan. Magnetism and synchronicity. Life becomes filled with synchronicities. The resources, people, and opportunities needed to fulfill the purpose are magnetically attracted to the initiate's life, as their vibrational field, the recoded DNA, is now in perfect alignment with what they are meant to manifest. Courage to act. Recoding removes fear coded in the DNA, giving the initiate the intrinsic courage to leave behind situations, relationships, or careers that no longer serve their higher truth. Integration into daily life, maintaining elevated frequency despite external noise. Final mastery is not achieved in isolation, but in the heart of the world. Integration is the task of maintaining the elevated frequency despite external noise. Being the stillness center, remembering the lesson of the Ouroboros. The center of the circle is always unmoving. The initiate must practice returning to the coherent heart instantly in the midst of chaos, using the breath of light as an anchor. Awareness of language, monitoring internal and external language. Every word that is not loving or coherent with the light is a small nullification of the newly anchored light code. The initiate chooses to speak in frequency and not in judgment. Discipline of recharging. Recoding requires maintenance. Cleansing rituals and deep contemplation of the light symbol must become daily practices, maintaining the purity of the energetic circuit. Integration is the art of living as the symbol, allowing the coherence of the recoded DNA to radiate into every interaction and decision. Chapter 9. The final message of the manuscript of the Script of Light elevates us from individual transformation to the collective vision. The ultimate purpose of recoding is not selfish enlightenment, but the restoration of the Earth's collective matrix. The human as manifested script of light, the body as a coded temple. The supreme result of mastery is that the human becomes the manifested script of light. We cease to need to look at external symbols because our body has become the code. Every cell, every DNA strand, every electromagnetic field vibrates at the frequency of totality and love. The body is no longer a prison of flesh, but a coded temple, a generator of light that radiates the coherence of the source into its environment. Silent radiation. The initiate does not need to speak to heal or influence. Their mere presence, their silent radiation, raises the frequency of a space. The unified field. The separation between the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies dissolves. The individual lives in total coherence, operating as a perfect fractal of the flower of life, embodied and conscious. The collective matrix. How individual recoding impacts global consciousness. The principle of resonance that operates in individual DNA is the same that operates in the planetary matrix. Humanity is connected by a morphogenetic field or collective matrix. The 100th monkey effect. Every person who completes the recoding of their subtle DNA raises the baseline frequency of the entire matrix. It is like adding a high-power light bulb to an electrical grid. Activation by proximity. Light codes are contagious on the vibrational plane. The coherence of a single recoded individual acts as a tuning fork that accelerates the activation of latent DNA in those within their field. Nullification of collective fear. By recoding fear in their own DNA, the initiate contributes to the dissolution of the fear programming that dominates global consciousness. This paves the way for the manifestation of a new era of cooperation and peace. The connection with the divine plan. Earth's role in galactic awakening. Planet Earth is not an accident. It is a sacred school of free will and a crucial focal point in the galactic awakening. The recoding of human DNA is directly parallel to the activation of the Earth's crystal grids. The Earth as a living library. Like subtle DNA, the Earth stores a vast library of information and light codes. Co-creation. By recoding our code, we help anchor the galactic codes that are flowing into the planet. The recoded human becomes the conscious connector between the source and the crystalline heart of the Earth, facilitating complete planetary ascension. Humanity's final role is to be the bridge between spirit and matter, uniting heaven and earth. The legacy of the Script of Light, restoring consciousness to its original state of totality and love. The legacy of the Script of Light and the mastery of the Ouroboros is the restoration of consciousness to its original state of totality and love. It is not just a healing technique, it is a roadmap for the return to unity. By releasing the illusion of separation and fear, initiatory death, and activating the code of coherence, rebirth, the human being remembers the simplest and most powerful truth. We are one. The Christic language is the echo of the beginning, the whisper of destiny. It is the reminder that we are multidimensional beings, eternally capable of self-regeneration. The ring of the sacred serpent teaches us that the end of duality is not a distant goal, but a vibrational decision we can make here and now through the conscious coding of our DNA with the words of light. We have completed the journey through the manuscript of the Script of Light, a revelation that transcends linguistics and linear biology. We have been reminded that before the words of duality, there existed a Christic language, a matrix of symbols, geometry, and light that speaks directly to the essence of our being. This language is not for the intellect, but for the spiritual DNA, that library of 10 latent strands which contains the memory of our original divinity. The message is clear. Unlimited potential is not outside of us. It is coded in the vast portion of our genetic code that science calls junk. This junk is the safety chest awaiting the vibrational key. The script of light is that key. Through the principle of resonance, the coherent symbol overrides the programming of fear and trauma that has kept our strands in atrophy. By practicing visualization in the theta state, mental intonation of the pure frequency, and physical anchoring through drawing, we become engineers of our own evolution. We are, consciously, using sacred geometry to insert new instructions of light into the crystalline matrix of our being. The awakening of the DNA is a powerful process, often accompanied by waves of energy, emotional release, and the rebirth of talents that the soul thought it had forgotten. It is the elimination of the fog and the manifestation of an unmistakable purpose. Finally, mastery takes us beyond personal healing. The recoded human, the living symbol, not only radiates coherence in their own field, but acts as a beacon for the collective matrix. Every DNA strand that lights up in one individual facilitates the awakening in humanity, propelling the divine plan and anchoring the new pattern of the earth. The legacy of this manuscript is the promise of totality and love. It is the reminder that we are the creators, that we can override the history of limitation, and that we can, through the language of light, reclaim our destiny as beings of frequency and splendor. The only barrier has been our own belief in separation. By dissolving that illusion, we join the eternal flow of the Ouroboros, the serpent of eternity that renews itself endlessly, whose body is the universe and whose essence is love.